Alright, my shop's a mess, just overlook it. I got a lot of stuff in here, and that's a good thing. That means there's a lot of stuff to process. Welcome back, friends, scrappers. I've been eyeballing these two for a while. Now, in my mind, everybody would love to have a name brand wire stripper like a Stripmeister or some of those big automated ones with a motor and all that good stuff. The one by Vivor that's got like 10 different channels to put each wire in. But if you're like me, you're kind of treading the waters on a budget. So, yeah, I could afford one of those expensive ones right now. And I'm not saying that as a flex, but I chose to go the cheap route and give it an honest review. So right here, these came off of Temu, ever how you want to say it. Not a sponsor. And they're probably just knockoffs of more name brands. This is probably mimicking the wire Stripmeister. And this one here just says handheld quick stripper. No name brand at all, made in China. So I think this one would be more suitable for your small, tiny wires. As you can see, it's got a selector dial you can turn and lock into place. And then you just press down on this and that blade will index into the wire. And then you pull it through manually. Back here you see there is a set screw where you can adjust how deep it goes into the wire. So far it's working pretty good. But right off the bat, this one here, like I said, I think it is trying to mimic a Stripmeister. So I'm going to remove this plate so I can talk to you about what I feel is an important step before using this. You got a plate here for your small, medium, and large wires, and it is adjustable. Only downside is you have to use the Allen wrench to undo the screws to do that. There's no quick adjust. But you got to understand, you're paying for when you buy those expensive wire strippers, you're paying that price for the convenience of how easy they are to adjust. When you buy this, you are opting for the more aggravation. I don't think it's that aggravating, but you get my point. So removing that cover, the screws are already out. The first thing I done when I got this thing out of the box, and you see I've already got the handle on it, where you can do it manually or put a drill on it. Let's turn it over to the back. You can see it's more open. The first thing I did when I got it was I screwed this wheel all the way down just before touching to make sure that that blade was in line with the center of that V-groove. That way I knew the wire would be less likely to ride up over the sides. If that blade gets off center, it's going to make the wire ride up. And you can see those two nuts on either side of the cutter wheel. You could use those, loosen one, tighten the other, or vice versa to move that wheel left to right. Fortunately for me, it came in the box perfectly centered. So didn't have to worry about that. You can see it's got, if I can get it to turn right here, you've got Allen keys, there they are, on either side of these feeder wheels. You can actually loosen those and widen that wheel out if you're putting a big wire through there. I don't think I'll ever put anything through it bigger than that. If I do, I'll make the adjustments. But I do plan to get one of the better strippers. I just wanted to give this a go. I've got about less than $40 invested in the two of these together. And so far they're working perfectly, and I will demonstrate that. I won't talk too much. You got an adjustment here for that plate. And really, I've even used it without this plate on the back at all. Well, right here on the back where you feed it in, you can see there's a finger that sticks out there to kind of marshal the wire on around the wheel. And you got the plate that I mentioned earlier. Here's your up and down adjustment right here. You'll crank this knob counterclockwise or clockwise to raise it up and down. It feels pretty sturdy in the hand. You can see it's got some pretty heavy-duty construction there. I'm going to say that's probably aluminum in the center, this part, and this out here is just steel bent around. But enough yapping. Let's just see how it works. But in my opinion, make sure that wheel's in line with the center of that. That was just a common sense thing to look for to me. I'm pretty handy with stuff, so I was thinking ahead before I got this thing when I read reviews about the problems people were having about the wire riding up out of the groove. So you want that wheel to be center. I'm going to screw it to the table, and we're going to get an assortment of wires and feed them through here. And I think I'm going to leave this plate off for the demonstration just to show you. But the plate itself, you would, for the small wire, you would set it up like this here. And if you wanted to use a medium wire, you would of course slide it up a little bit. For the big wire, you would take it off and flip it over. And you would want that thing to not be right up here like that, but you kind of want it down a little bit so the wire is being forced to ride up and over the wheel. That way the wheel gets traction on it. You don't want to go straight into the device. You want the wire to kind of come up and go over the feeder wheel. And that's going to allow it to grip the wire and pull it through. I will demonstrate that for you now. Alright, I got an assortment of wire laid out for us to demonstrate here. We've got some, the biggest one I've got is, to get it turned around right. This is 3.0 AUG. I think that's right. That'll be the biggest one I demonstrate tonight. We'll see if it can cut that. And here we've got 2 AUG wire. Then this wire came out of a dryer cord. It's stranded. Then this is a little bit smaller. There's no writing on it, but it is stranded as well. I think that's one of the power wires off a compressor. Then we've got this here, which is, it says AUG 10. It's stranded as well. And then we've got some solid core wire here. And then down here I've got some, I believe some 12 and 14. What is this? This is 12. Alright. I think that's a good demonstration, a little bit to give it a show the range of the machine. So let me set you up and I'll go over the best way to get started. By the way, I got my barrel set up. I've got my Bear Bright here, my number 2, and I've got a barrel for 10 coated copper wire, and then there's number 1 that is not Bear Bright. It's still number 1, but it's not Bear Bright. And I'll show you this 10 coated wire right quick. It's 10 coated, but it's copper inside. Number 2 at my yard. And what I like to start out with is let's start out with this solid core smallest wire right here. What I like to do is come on this side and just crank this down until it starts to engage the wire. And then I'll come back over here and start to feed it. And like I said, what I'll do when I come into this roller is I'll come at a downward angle. I know we're going backwards, but I'm showing you. And I'll let it feed up, and that wheel will grip it and start. And as it starts to cut it, I will hold slightly down on this wire, down pressure, so this wheel is actually pulling it up in there. You don't want to go straight in like that because it's not going to grip it as well. You want to hold it at an angle down so it's pulling it in. It will work fine without the guard, but if you're going to be using a drill, you want to be mindful of where your hand is so it don't get pulled into this wheel back here. Because as I'm feeding it, I like to keep the wire down and just let my hand loosely rest on it to keep it straight as it goes in. You know, not letting your wire flop around is going to make it feed through better. Although I had put a few in here and just crunk it and it pulled in fine. So let's begin here. I'm going to stick it in. We're going to check and see. There we go, we've started. I'm going to hold down on it and just feed it through. There we go, coming through. I've let go of it. Now let's see how we did. I hope that's in camera. No, it's not. Let me back up. Let me see here. And there we go. Instant Bear Bright. I'll fold that up, throw it in my Bear Bright pile. If I can talk here, good Lord. You back in. And as you can see, I'll hold a downward pressure back here and let the wheel pull it in. I'll get it started. Now I'm going to hold down. You can see my hand holding down on it slightly. And I'll let that start to feed through. This is solid core wire, as I mentioned. Let me come up to you there. You can see it stripped it pretty good. Look at that. Boom. I'll back you back out. Instant bare bright. Now I know some of you, your yard classifies bare bright. From what I've been told, anything bigger than the same size or bigger as a pencil lead. But I did ask my yard today. I have some solid core wire that's actually smaller than the lead pencil, and my yard told me as long as it was shiny, bare bright, they'd give me bare bright price. So I'm not going to argue with them. If that's what they want to give me, that's what I'll take. But let's see. Now we got a piece that's stranded. Still, I believe we're still at the, let me look at the size. I don't want to mislead y'all. This is 12 AUG stranded wire. Now what I found out on stranded wire, you may have to tighten down just a little bit because these stranded wires will compress and make a little space. So, you know, run it through about this far out and see how it's cutting. And you can always back it up and increase pressure. So we're going to start and see how this cuts. Here we go. Oh, look at there. It's laying it right open. And you can see I'm actually a little too tight because it's cutting the wire. So I'm going to back out a little bit on the pressure. How did that do? That's perfect. Now I'll go ahead and feed that through, holding down pressure right here. Down pressure with my thumb. Hold the wire loosely and crank it through. Now I'll come up here and catch it. And there we go, friends. We've stripped another piece. There's a stranded 12 AUG wire. I'm reading off the side of the wire. I still don't know all the classifications of wires, so y'all bear with me. And see, I actually cut some of that wire in the beginning. You see, that's what happens when you cut into the wire. It makes those things will stick in you too. Ow, woo, there goes one. Put your gloves on, dummy. Bare bright. My yard gives me that, so there we go, bare bright. Now let me pause and get my gloves so I'm not sticking this stuff on my fingers like a dum-dum. Alright, there we go. One of my problems is my camera will not pick up these gloves. I have to take them off and on when I want to pause and mess with the camera. But yeah, this thing's not bad. I'm just hand cranking so far, and it is really making stripping wire a breeze. Let's jump on up. You've seen that. Now right here in my hand, I'm reading off the wire. It says AUG 10, but it's a stranded wire. So let's feed this through. Now what I'll do is I'll come over here like I showed y'all, and I will back it up a little bit. That feels kind of tight, so I'm going to go with that. Get that started, and I'll feed it through. Now let's take a look. It's cutting through it. We can see that. I hope you can see it. I can zoom you in some more. Hold on. You see it's cutting that wire. Let me take my glove off so I can use my fingernail to open it. And there's a little shred. We're a little too tight. I'm gonna back out about 1/8 of a turn and go again. Now that looks right. It don't take very much. 1/8 of a turn most of the time will get you back on course. So let me go ahead and crank this on through. Very smooth operation on this cheap machine. Now I'm going to pull this open. It's hard to do with gloves on. That's one of the things I think why people don't wear gloves very much. Let me back the camera out, sorry. You can see we cut the wire very well. Let me take my gloves off. Y'all just don't judge me. It's hard to pull these wires open with gloves on. Now see that? Oh boy. Now that right there is nice. I could do this all night. That is so nice right there. And that's going to be bare bright according to my yard. There you go, friends. Bare bright. I'm very impressed with this machine so far. I'm telling you. Let's step up to the wire that came off of a compressor. I believe it powered the compressor or whatever. It was out of the heat and air unit. So this here, it don't have any markings on it, but you can see for size reference it is stranded. Oh wait, there we go. Read, you big dummy. This says 10 aug as well. So we just done a 10 aug. We're not going to do another one. Let's step up to this stranded wire. It's a little bigger. There's no writing on it that I can see. I don't have my glasses on. But you can see for size reference in my hand, it is stranded. So let's see how it fits in here. Seems pretty snug. I'm going to start it and we'll see how it's looking. Need to back off a little bit. Just having trouble going in there. There we go. I can feel that's too tight. Pull about 1/8 of a turn. Let's take a look. Perfect, perfect. We'll feed it on through. I hope y'all can see that. Let me zoom you back in. Oh man, zoom you out. You can see there it cut right into that insulation. Very nice. I hope I ain't boring y'all. I'm new here. I'm trying, friends. I'm trying to show you good angles. I know sometimes people get the angles off. I want to be able to see what's going on. Oh man, that's so nice. Look at that. And that, according to my yard, Bear Bright. Alright, working our way up to the dryer cord. And that's pretty big. It looks about as big around. It looks a little bigger than a 1/4 inch bolt. Not sure what size it is. I took the outer casing off and there was 3 of these wires. Green, black, and red. That's what was in that casing. It was a dryer cord. It's stranded. Let's see how this goes. Now that's a little bigger, so I'm probably going to have to back off a little bit. So let's back off. And then we're going to get it started. And that is too much pressure. 1/8 of a turn. Still too much. Another 1/8 of a turn. Perfect. Now we're going to feed it through. I mean, flawless. It just pulled it right through there. Now, a lot of people are having trouble with these cheap machines, but you see this. This just came in the mail today. So look at that. Boom. Stripped it right down. Bear Bright again. Take a look at that. Bear Bright. Okay, friends. We're getting up to the good stuff. Here's some 2 aug wire. It is stranded 2 aug. We're going to have to back this baby out some. I'll get y'all some angles from the other side too. Just bear with me. Back it out a little more. It's a little tight. A little bit more. You can feel it. Oh yeah. Here we go. 2 aug wire through the cheap China stripper here off of Temu. All right. Let's see how we did. A little tight at the beginning, but I made some adjustments, and there we go. Look at that. I'm not pulling shade, y'all. This is actually working. There you go. Some 2 aug Bear Bright in the barrel. All right, last but not least, we've got the big boy here. I know this is small for some of you, what you get, but this is a, it says 3.0 aug. Anyway, you see how big it is. I don't want to break this tiny machine, but it should be able to handle this, so let's see. Now, I probably need to adjust these feeder wheels out, but I don't feel like doing that. I don't have a whole lot of this wire. So we're going to see how it does without adjusting that the feeder wheels. Okay, that pulled through. I think that's going to work. It's going to be hard to hold this at a downward angle the way I got it on my table. We're going to try it. Oh, there it goes. Look, it's pulling it. This cheap China cheap China stripper. That's not how it sounds. I mean, wire stripper here. Get your mind out of the gutter. Now look at that. I want you to look. Cheap China stripper. Just cut that like butter. There you go, friends. Look at that. I don't think I can get away with putting that in bare bright because this very end has started to discolor a little bit. It's a little shiny over here. I might toss it in there and let him decide because that's the biggest wire I've got. No problem getting number one. But yeah, now that was pretty good, friends. I just ran all those different sizes of wire through there and you saw it happen. I haven't even put the drill on it yet. Let me pan you around. Sorry about the movement here. My shop's a total mess. I got a lot of wire to strip. I'm not trying to make this a terribly long video. Let me zoom in and we'll talk about this a little bit more. As you can see, I left the guard off. And really you don't even need the guard. You just want, let me make sure you're in frame. Let me get a piece of insulation that came off one from my demo here. Just when you're feeding it in and you start, you want to kind of hold down pressure here. So that wheel, as you can see, is pulling that wire up and into the cutter. If you come in straight, it's not really going to get a good grip. You want to come in this angle and let it pull the wire. But if you're going to do like I'm doing in the demo and leave that guard off, be mindful of where your hand is, because you can get that pulled in there, especially using the drill. So when I put the drill on this thing, I'll put the guard back on just to be safe. And now that you're at this angle, I'll get I think this is a 12 or a 14. I'll do this for you while you're on this side so you can see it from that angle. I'm going to have to adjust the cutter head way back down from that 3.0 we just cut. If that's the right way to say, that's what was on the casing, friends. I'm still learning. You're going to have to bear with me when I talk about wire and stuff. Alright, that feels pretty snug. Here we go. We're going to get started. I'll stick it in there. Get it started. Now I'm just going to kind of hold my hand here, holding down pressure here, and let it pull through. And then I'll let you see that it actually split the wire. Look at here. I hope that's in frame. Instant bare bright right there. Thank you. There we go. Bare bright barrel. Oh man, that was so nice. I can't complain about this little Chinese stripper. Wire stripper. Let me get it right there. Give you some more angles of it. It seems to work very well. I can't complain so far. Now I might get halfway through the night because I got a lot of wire to strip. But so far I'm impressed. Like I said, it wasn't even $40 for this and the other one over there. So I'm not even going to bother putting the drill on it. You've seen how it works. It's just going to work faster with a drill on it. You could chuck it right here on that little handle. Take the handle off and chuck your drill there to turn it. But man, it split that big wire like nothing. It pulled it right through there. I didn't have to adjust the spacing on my feeder wheels. It pulled it right through. You saw it. But there's going to be a lot more. That barrel's going to be full by the time I get through tonight. I might make a run in the morning. If I do, I'll show y'all that. But if not, I'll wait till next weekend. I've got plenty of wire. Shop's a mess. Look, that barrel's slammed full of wire. A lot of that solid core. I've got some generator feed wire out here. I've got to get stripped out. I've got a lot of stuff to do tonight. But anyway, let's get over to this other one. I'm not trying to make a too terribly long video. Let me put you back on the tripod and we'll get that one out and we'll strip some wire on it. Alright, I hope the angle is good. We're just going to do a few pieces here. Now, I've got some Romex. Everybody knows Romex is pretty easy to strip, especially the outer layer. They've got places here for Romex, I take it. But basically what you do with this is you loosen this and you can turn your selector dial. and you can find the groove that fits the wire you have in your hand. So let's see, that's pretty tight, that's kind of loose. That's going to be our best bet right there. So what you do is you go ahead and compress, bring the blade down into that channel there. Go ahead and lock your dial in place. Now you need to look at how far the blade's going in. Remember, we got an adjustment screw here that controls how deep it plunges. So that looks okay. I'm going to go with that. That in and see how it feels. That is a little light. Let me back the screw out a little bit. That looks better. All right. Now that I got that stripped, I'll pull that through. I hope I didn't go out of frame there on you. And I'll just pull it through by hand and see how we did there. I don't think I cut deep enough. There's that outer cover. Oh yeah, we did. There we go. I didn't cut quite deep enough, but there we go. It came off. And that's not bare bright. You can see it's got a little bit of patina on it. So that'll go in my number 1, just up under bare bright. All right, let's see what we got here. Here's a stranded wire. Now this is a little bit bigger. This is a 12 here. So that must have been a 14. This is a 12 stranded. That same hole will work. So let's put it in there. Don't know if I went deep enough, but we'll see. It's probably best if you just take and using this little thing and just strip the very end off. I know I don't have my gloves. It's hard to mess with this wire with gloves on. I'm just doing this for demo purposes. So now I'll go down. I hope this is all in frame. And you could use a pair of pliers to help you pull this if you need to. But see, I've indexed down. Now I'll just pull that through. And now we'll see if we cut all the way through there. Need to start up here. Oh yeah, I think we got it. Get all your strands together and oh yeah, look at that, friends. Boom. Now, according to my yard, he will give me bare bright for that, even though it's tiny. I don't know why. If he's willing to give it, I'm willing to take it. But there you go, strip that jewel. Now we got some tiny wire. I think the bread and butter of this stripper is going to be the tiny stuff. It's too small for that. You know, I'm not saying that stripper over there will not take this wire. I haven't tried this yet. I will do it and let y'all know. I'm not trying to make a terribly long video. I got a lot of stripping to do tonight. Not the kind you get dollars for. The kind you get money at the scrapyard for, people. Anyway, let's see. That is too tight. I'm going to have to go with that hole. So we're going here. So let's back our dial off and adjust around to that hole there. Again, we're going to index the blade, tighten the thumb screw. Now that's cutting a little bit deep, so I'm going to have to adjust the depth gauge here. That looks like it will be close. Nope, not touching the wire. We're probably right to start with. All right. Have to go a little deeper. Sorry if I'm boring you. I'm just trying to do a good review here. I want to show you real time how it works. Make sure you're in frame. That's still not deep enough. I'm going to have to back that out. And this is the part where it just takes time to get the depth right. In my opinion, when you're stripping wires like this, there we go, you need to sort all your wire out. Like, especially for the Strip Meister knockoff over there. You want to get all your wire in piles. That way you're stripping one size wire every time. You don't have to make as many adjustments if you do it that way. And for this machine, I do the same thing. If I had a bunch of this wire, which I do, I would lay all that out first, get this thing set, and I would strip only this until it was all done. Then I would move to the next one. And that just makes it easier where you're not making a bunch of adjustments on the fly. You can get all the one size done, then move to the next. But I'll just pull forward there, and we'll pull that through. Let's see. I got that outer coating cut. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is solid core, by the way. I think I mentioned that. Kind of hard, so I'll give it a little scrapping with Grandpa. I was watching him do some wire, and he'll shave the end so he's got something to grab onto, and then he'll start pulling the casing off. And I say it cut deep enough. I could see it in one place. Lord of mercy. This guy's terrible. I have to go a little deeper, friends. I'm sorry. But that's just the ins and outs of this stripper. You got to figure out how deep to do it to get it cut and then go with that. This thing's a little tedious. I'm not going to act like it is awesome. I'm not as impressed with this little one as I am with the knockoff Strip Meister over there. We're going to readjust and pull the wire through. Alright, let's see if we cut that time. This tiny wire is a little bit of a hat trick. We can see right there, it did get through the insulation. I don't know how time consuming it's going to be to strip all this small stuff. I may wait on that on a day when I'm really bored and just strip all this. I'm gonna go. Got that little tiny wire stripped. But yeah, that's not a bad little tool. It takes a little getting used to. See how that index is down. But I don't know. I don't have any Romex. That's right. If I had a piece, I'd try these other holes out for you. But anyway, friends, I didn't want to take too long on this video. Like I said, I am very impressed with that guy right over there. I mean, if anybody's having any trouble with that thing, you either don't have your wheel perfectly in line or the adjustments. You just need to take your time and feed it in there like I did and see how it's cutting. If you're cutting too hard, back out 1/8 of a turn and keep going till you see that you're just barely getting through the insulation. But yeah, I'm going to put this thing through its paces tonight. And two, you know, like right over here, you've got little set screws that keep this shaft from moving left to right. You got set screws on each side of the feeder wheel. You've got locking screws on each side of the cutting head. All these adjustments can get off. I can see those working their way loose after you've used this thing for a while. So there's some preventative maintenance involved in this thing. It's just not something you're going to buy a strip wire and forget about and it's going to work flawlessly. It's cheap. You bought a cheap piece of equipment. You gave up the conveniences of the higher price machine when you bought this. The guard that has to be taken off every time you want to readjust for bigger wire. You see I'm using it without the guard. Perfectly fine. Be mindful of where your fingers are. It's working fine. I ain't had a wire right up out of that groove yet. You saw me keep slight down pressure on the wires as I strip them. So I'm going to get with it, people, and I will let y'all know in the future, probably the next video, how well it held up. You saw me strip big wire, small wire, medium-sized wire. So I will say that was money well spent. Anyway, friends, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope the video wasn't too terribly boring as I reviewed these two wire strippers, the budget-friendly ones. Like I said, 40 bucks between the two of them from Temu. And appreciate you watching, friends. Get out there, get to scrapping, and I will see you on the next one.